Michigan Real Estate Exam Practice Questions. Question 1. During an open house in Dearborn, a licensee encounters a rule involving directing buyers toward or away from neighborhoods based on protected characteristics. Which response follows Michigan law, while the file concerns a urban infill property, a fair minus housing complaint record, and a security minus deposit question? Option A. A title search. Option B. Steering and discriminatory practice. Option C. A neutral market analysis. Option D. A lawful zoning variance. The correct answer is option B. Steering and discriminatory practice. Neighborhood recommendations cannot be based on the protected composition of residents. A written office procedure should produce the same result in comparable transactions. Title and zoning work do not authorize discriminatory channeling. Question 2. A salesperson is preparing for a brokerage audit in Battle Creek. Which statement correctly addresses advertising that indicates a preference or limitation based on a protected status, while the file concerns a subdivision lot, a brokerage policy manual, and a dual minus representation concern? Option A. Permitted puffery. Option B. A lawful deed restriction. Option C. A required broker identifier. Option D. A discriminatory advertising. The correct answer is option D. Discriminatory advertising. Marketing language may not signal that protected people are unwelcome or preferred. In the described setting, the brokerage should document the step and apply it before moving forward. Broker identification and ordinary promotional opinion are separate issues. Question 3. Which Michigan requirement should control when an associate broker deals with reasonable accommodation for a person with a disability during a license application, while the file concerns a rural acreage, a continuing minus education certificate, and a protected minus class inquiry? Option A. Consider a necessary change to rules or practices unless an applicable defense exists. Option B. Reject every request automatically. Option C. Treat the request as a commission dispute. Option D. Require the person to waive civil rights. The correct answer is option A. Consider a necessary change to rules or practices unless an applicable defense exists. Disability protections may require flexibility in policies so a person can use and enjoy housing. Applied to this scenario, the licensee should follow the rule before creating further obligations for a party. A brokerage minus fee issue does not resolve an accommodation request. Stressed about your real estate? We can take real estate for you remotely and undetected. We always guarantee a pass in payments only after results. To send us an email, scan the code or tap the link in the description and let's get it done. Question 4. At a renewal review, the brokerage discusses fraud, deceit, or dishonesty in licensed practice. Which conclusion is most accurate, while the file concerns a single minus family residence, a closing statement, and a disputed repair credit? Option A. A required form of negotiation. Option B. An automatic contract amendment. Option C. Grounds for occupational discipline. Option D. A protected marketing strategy. The correct answer is option C. Grounds for occupational discipline. Dishonest conduct undermines the competence and trust expected of a licensee. For exam purposes, focus on the regulated relationship rather than an informal business custom. Negotiation does not authorize intentional deception. Question 5. A compliance question in Kalamazoo concerns gross negligence or demonstrated incompetence. Which action or statement is appropriate, while the file concerns a small apartment building, a fair minus housing complaint record, and an electronic signature? Option A. An exemption from supervision. Option B. A substitute for continuing education. Option C. Conduct that can support disciplinary penalties. Option D. A protected advertising style. The correct answer is option C. Conduct that can support disciplinary penalties. Serious carelessness and inability to perform regulated work can trigger professional sanctions. The transaction context changes the facts, but it does not change the underlying licensing duty. Education and advertising rules do not convert incompetence into lawful practice. Question 6. How should a Michigan listing licensee handle a situation involving false advertising by a licensee, while the file concerns an office condominium, a brokerage policy manual, and a referral arrangement? Option A. A disciplinary violation. Option B. A permitted team slogan in every case. Option C. A title minus insurance requirement. Option D. A method of deed delivery. The correct answer is option A. A disciplinary violation. Real estate marketing must be truthful and comply with brokerage-identification rules. A written office procedure should produce the same result in comparable transactions. Deed and title procedures are unrelated to advertising honesty. Question 7. Which choice best applies the state rule concerning helping another person perform regulated brokerage work without a license to a transaction-file review, while the file concerns a condominium unit, a continuing education certificate, and a team social media post? Option A. A zoning enforcement function. Option B. Baiting unlicensed practice. Option C. A required referral method. Option D. Lawful delegation to any friend. The correct answer is option B. Aiding unlicensed practice. A licensee may not enable an unlicensed person to perform activities reserved for licensed practitioners. In the described setting, the brokerage should document the step and apply it before moving forward. Calling the activity a referral does not change its substance. Question 8. A file from Pontiac raises an issue about practicing while a license is suspended, revoked, or lapsed. Which answer identifies the governing requirement, while the file concerns a retail suite, a closing statement, and a record inspection request? Option A. The license remains active for pending deals. Option B. Only advertising is prohibited. Option C. The person is treated as unlicensed. Option D. The employer may privately reactivate it. The correct answer is option C. The person is treated as unlicensed. Authority to practice depends on a current license in good standing. Applied to this scenario, the licensee should follow the rule before creating further obligations for a party. Only the department can restore lawful status through the applicable process. Are you looking for real estate actual questions? Visit our website pokerexams.com to access real estate study guide with actual questions and answers. Scan the QR code or click the link in the description to get real estate answer key today. Question 9. Before completing a team training, which rule should the team member apply to failure to comply with a final board or department order, while the file concerns a manufactured home site, a fair-housing complaint record, and a branch-office distance issue? Option A. An automatic license renewal. Option B. A private contract defense. Option C. A separate basis for discipline. Option D. A fair-housing exemption. The correct answer is option C. A separate basis for discipline. Final regulatory orders are enforceable obligations of the licensee. For exam purposes, focus on the regulated relationship rather than an informal business custom. Private transaction terms cannot override the order. Question 10. A Michigan exam candidate reviews a scenario involving keeping a client's confidential negotiating information private. Which option reflects the current licensing framework, while the file concerns a 2-unit rental, a brokerage policy manual, and a financing contingency? Option A. An optional courtesy after closing. Option B. A reason to hide known hazards. Option C. A duty owed only to competitors. Option D. A fiduciary responsibility subject to legal disclosure exceptions. The correct answer is option D. A fiduciary responsibility subject to legal disclosure exceptions. Agency loyalty includes protecting confidential information obtained through representation. The transaction context changes the facts, but it does not change the underlying licensing duty. It cannot be used to conceal material facts that must be communicated. Question 11. The broker's policy manual addresses presenting offers and material transaction information promptly. Which provision should it contain, while the file concerns a historic residence, a continuing education certificate, and an unrepresented consumer? Option A. A prohibited communication. Option B. Part of competent and loyal client service. Option C. A task reserved for the assessor. Option D. Optional when commission is small. The correct answer is option B. Part of competent and loyal client service. Clients need timely information to make informed decisions about offers and risks. A written office procedure should produce the same result in comparable transactions. The size of compensation does not reduce professional responsibility. Question 12. A regulator asks about an owner selling the owner's property in an occasional transaction during a brokerage review. Which response demonstrates compliance, while the file concerns a student rental, a closing statement, and a confidential price limit? Option A. Every owner must obtain a salesperson license. Option B. Only a lender may sell the property. Option C. The owner becomes a broker automatically. Option D. An owner exemption may apply if the activity is not a principal vocation requiring broker licensure. The correct answer is option D. An owner exemption may apply if the activity is not a principal vocation requiring broker licensure. Owners may generally handle their own property, but Michigan limits commercialized patterns of owner sales. In the described setting, the brokerage should document the step and apply it before moving forward. Ownership alone is not an unlimited exemption from broker licensing. Question 13. Which statement would be safest for an associate broker to follow when an owner completing more than 5 property sales in 12 months without using a broker becomes relevant, while the file concerns a vacant commercial parcel, a fair minus housing complaint record, and a change of employing broker? Option A. The owner remains exempt without limit. Option B. Only a building permit is required. Option C. The activity is treated as a principal vocation requiring broker licensure. Option D. The transactions become tax minus free. The correct answer is option C. The activity is treated as a principal vocation requiring broker licensure. Michigan uses transaction frequency as one indicator of professional real estate sales activity. Applied to this scenario, the licensee should follow the rule before creating further obligations for a party. Tax and construction approvals do not replace occupational licensing. Question 14. A dispute arises during a buyer consultation over an owner spending more than 15 hours per week over a 6-month period selling owned real estate. Which principle resolves the issue, while the file concerns an industrial site, a brokerage policy manual, and an owner-licensee conflict? Option A. The time is counted only after closing. Option B. The rule applies only to renters. Option C. The owner is always exempt. Option D. The activity can be treated as a principal vocation. The correct answer is option D. The activity can be treated as a principal vocation. Substantial weekly work devoted to owner sales can move the activity beyond casual disposition. For exam purposes, focus on the regulated relationship rather than an informal business custom. Closing dates and tenant status do not control this test. Question 15. In Novi, a buyer representative must decide how to proceed with the additional pre-licensure education associated with an individual broker applicant. Which decision is consistent with Michigan requirements, while the file concerns a new construction home, a continuing minus education certificate, and an expired license issue? Option A. 90 hours beyond salesperson education. Option B. 40 hours total including salesperson education. Option C. No additional education. Option D. 10 hours of advertising only. The correct answer is option A. 90 hours beyond salesperson education. Broker minus level preparation requires substantial coursework beyond the salesperson foundation. The transaction context changes the facts, but it does not change the underlying licensing duty. The additional requirement is not satisfied by repeating only the initial salesperson total. Question 16. Which exam answer accurately classifies the rule involving a salesperson license application under the statutory employer structure, while the file concerns a mixed minus use building, a closing statement, and a property minus management payment? Option A. The employing broker signs or approves the affiliation required for issuance. Option B. The county clerk becomes the employer. Option C. The applicant self-minus employs immediately. Option D. A home inspector signs as sponsor. The correct answer is option A. The employing broker signs or approves the affiliation required for issuance. The salesperson credential is issued within an employing minus broker relationship. A written office procedure should produce the same result in comparable transactions. Independent practice is not created merely by passing the examination. Question 17. A new policy is being drafted for a salesperson license as to legal form. Which language belongs in the policy, while the file concerns a cooperative unit, a fair minus housing complaint record, and a delayed possession term? Option A. It belongs to the property being sold. Option B. It is issued only to an individual. Option C. It may be issued to any corporation. Option D. It is issued to a branch office. The correct answer is option B. It is issued only to an individual. Michigan treats the salesperson credential as an individual occupational license. In the described setting, the brokerage should document the step and apply it before moving forward. A location or parcel cannot hold a salesperson credential. Question 18. During team training, the supervising broker tests knowledge of an associate broker's status. Which answer should the team select, while the file concerns a farm parcel, a brokerage policy manual, and a cooperating brokerage. Option A. A broker minus qualified individual working for another real estate broker. Option B. A county recording officer. Option C. An unlicensed assistant. Option D. A salesperson with no broker qualifications. The correct answer is option A. A broker minus qualified individual working for another real estate broker. An associate broker has met broker licensing standards but practices through an employing broker. Applied to this scenario, the licensee should follow the rule before creating further obligations for a party. It is distinct from clerical assistance and ordinary salesperson status. Stressed about your real estate? We can take real estate for you remotely and undetected. We always guarantee a pass and payments only after results. To send us an email, scan the code or tap the link in the description and let's get it done. Question 19. A consumer asks the brokerage to explain leasing or renting real property of others for compensation under a management contract. Which explanation reflects Michigan law, while the file concerns a lakefront cottage, a continuing minus education certificate, and a rejected counteroffer? Option A. Property management regulated as brokerage activity. Option B. An owner's casual self-minus management. Option C. A title insurance service. Option D. A building minus code inspection. The correct answer is option A. Property management regulated as brokerage activity. Managing rentals for another for compensation falls within Michigan real estate regulation. For exam purposes, focus on the regulated relationship rather than an informal business custom. Self-minus management and unrelated professional services are classified differently. Question 20. Which compliance step is required when the transaction facts involve the account used in operating managed property, while the file concerns a townhouse, a closing statement, and an assumed business name? Option A. A deed registry. Option B. A zoning appeal file. Option C. A property management account. Option D. A personal vacation fund. The correct answer is option C. A property management account. Managed minus property money is handled through accounts dedicated to the property minus management operation. The transaction context changes the facts, but it does not change the underlying licensing duty. Personal funds and land records do not serve that accounting function. Question 21. A licensee notices a potential problem involving a right minus to minus list agreement that binds future owners for an excessive period. Which response should occur first? While the file concerns a urban infill property, a fair minus housing complaint record, and a security minus deposit question? Option A. Automatically superior to every mortgage. Option B. Potentially unenforceable under Michigan restrictions. Option C. A substitute for a deed. Option D. Required in all residential sales. The correct answer is option B. Potentially unenforceable under Michigan restrictions. Michigan limits certain long minus term agreements that encumber future home minus sale listing rights. A written office procedure should produce the same result in comparable transactions. The arrangement is not a deed or a universal listing requirement. Question 22. The state portion of the exam presents facts about the body created to regulate Michigan real estate brokers and salespersons. Which result is supported, while the file concerns a subdivision lot, a brokerage policy manual, and a dual minus representation concern? Option A. The County Planning Commission. Option B. The Local Register of Deeds. Option C. The Federal Reserve Board. Option D. The Michigan Board of Real Estate Brokers and Salespersons. The correct answer is option D. The Michigan Board of Real Estate Brokers and Salespersons. Article 25 establishes a state board for the licensed brokerage professions. In the described setting, the brokerage should document the step and apply it before moving forward. Local land offices and federal banking regulators perform different functions. Question 23. Which brokerage practice properly addresses the department's role in professional licensing in the Pontiac transaction, while the file concerns a rural acreage, a continuing minus education certificate, and a protected minus class inquiry? Option A. Or record deeds for each county. Option B. To determine eligibility, issue credentials, and enforce the occupational code. Option C. Approve all private purchase offers. Option D. Set every property's market price. The correct answer is option B. Determine eligibility, issue credentials, and enforce the occupational code. The licensing department administers applications, examinations, renewals, and compliance. Applied to this scenario, the licensee should follow the rule before creating further obligations for a party. County recording and market valuation are handled through other processes. Question 24. A licensee is comparing 4 procedures related to a licensee's obligation when the department requests proof of required disclosures or consents. Which procedure is lawful, while the file concerns a single-family residence, a closing statement, and a disputed repair credit? Option A. Ask the buyer to create the record later. Option B. Rely only on memory. Option C. Delete the transaction file. Option D. Provide satisfactory written proof. The correct answer is option D. Provide satisfactory written proof. Documented disclosures and consents allow the department to verify compliance. For exam purposes, focus on the regulated relationship rather than an informal business custom. Oral recollection is weaker than the written proof contemplated by the statute. Question 25. At the end of a compliance interview, the parties question the reason for maintaining complete transaction files. Which statement provides the best guidance? While the file concerns a small apartment building, a fair-housing complaint record, and an electronic signature. Option A. Avoid every client communication. Option B. Support supervision, accounting, disclosures, and regulatory review. Option C. Replace the purchase agreement. Option D. Eliminate the need for licensure. The correct answer is option B. Support supervision, accounting, disclosures, and regulatory review. A complete file shows how the brokerage handled money, agency, offers, and required notices. The transaction context changes the facts, but it does not change the underlying licensing duty. Filekeeping does not replace contracts or occupational authority.